Hi everyone and welcome back to Tennis Time. It's been quite some time since my latest upload, which was happening just after the Australian Open. A lot of things have happened in the world of tennis. Now that we're ahead of the Monte Carlo Masters, it's ample time for me to do another video and make another upload. So in today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been happening in the last few months, basically in the world of tennis. Many big events took place, many interesting things have happened in the world of tennis, and I want to share my conclusion with you about the future of tennis, what I've been observing ever since the Australian Open. None of the big three really playing too many matches. Actually, Federer was the one who made a comeback, and he's played 2 matches in Doha. But other than that, we didn't have any participation of the big 3 members in any of the tournaments, and I want to share my outlook with you, how I see tennis shaping up in the future. Okay, so I think definitely one of the biggest events and biggest achievements what we've seen so far during this year after the Australian Open was the fact that Jannik Sinner has managed at the age of 19 to make a final at the Miami Masters. The Indian Wells Masters did not happen. The Masters 1000 was cancelled because California's restrictions are still quite severe because of the pandemic, but we were fortunate enough to get the one in Florida, in Miami. They didn't have anybody from the big 3 in Miami. However, we had big favorites coming in the name of Zverev, who the week prior has won the tournament in Acapulco. We had Medvedev coming in. We had Tsitsipas coming in. All of them had good appearances throughout the year and were playing really well, good form. But interestingly enough, none of them has lived up to the expectation. Each of them have fallen. Zverev lost in his first match actually against Rossovori after winning the first set quite comfortably. He lost the second quite comfortably. Tsitsipas lost to Hurkacz, to the eventual champion, also relatively young player, 24 from Poland, really tall player who's been showing good form recently, but definitely a really unexpected and surprising winner of the Miami Open. Medvedev dropped in the quarters, Zverev dropped in his second match in the second round, and Tsitsipas, as I said, lost to Hurkacz, the eventual champion. Sinner, he's the first guy, he's the 4th guy in the history of the Miami Masters, or the history of the Masters 1000, to make the finals as a teenager. People prior to him doing it at Miami were Djokovic, Nadal and Agassi. So he's definitely now shortlisted. He's having good results and really remarkable achievements as of now as a 19-year-old, and there's a lot to be expected from him in the future, I think. So is a guy who he's at the same height as Djokovic. He's 1.88 m, so that's around 6'2". He has definitely the right height to be a big server and to have a good serve. I think the serve is something he still can improve upon quite a lot. But I think as time goes on and as he matures, he's going to get a bit more muscle on his body, becoming a proper adult, so to say. I think he's going to be incredibly difficult to beat. He's moving relatively well. And he has tremendous power from the forehand and from the backhand side as well. I think since Andre Agassi, he's the one who's having the best backhand-forehand combination in the game. He has tremendous feel on the ball and great power. It looks like fantastically natural power, and you can't really tell where he's going with his shots, whether he wants to hit it down the line or the cross court, it's very hard to read where he's going. I think from a return perspective, he also still can improve. But what I like about his game so far is that he doesn't seem to be shying away from going forward and taking the ball close to the net and hitting volleys. So I think that's definitely something which he should not stop doing. He should still practice it and improve it. But the way I look at tennis right now, the young prospects we have in the game, Sinner is definitely somebody who I think could definitely dominate. He could dominate in a Nadal, Djokovic, Federer kind of way as a future player. There are a few distinctive marks and signs of a great champion, and I think the ones who are really showing good signs early on, before their 20s, that they can be at the top of the game, those are the ones who are definitely going to make it. So Sinner is so far ahead of his generation right now. He's, as I said, playing already a Masters 1000 final, although the big three were not present, but still it's a fantastic achievement. And he seems to be having the right mindset and the right mentality. Because he's going so much for his shots many times, I think he's missing a little bit too much. He still needs to improve on his patience. He still needs to improve on his precision when really going for his shots. But I think when he tweaked his game to the right level, he's definitely going to be really very, very difficult to beat. From a mentality perspective, I also think he's really right up there. Just if you look at the final he's played against Hurkacz, so he was very close to being 5-love down in the second set, after he lost the first set in a tiebreak, and after he was leading in the first set 6-5, and he was serving for the first set. So I don't know what the problem was. Maybe he was a little bit tired after the week. He had a very, very tough match against Khachanov the week before. He had a pretty tough semi-final against Roberto Bautista Agut in the semis, so that could have been it. I'm not sure. But after losing that after losing that first set, after being 6-5 up, then losing his service game, losing the tiebreak, he really wasn't there anymore, and Hurkacz was flying because he felt like, okay, I won the first set, I'm halfway through to being the Masters 1000 champion in Miami, and he was playing really well. And what struck me about Sinner was that he really does have the right attitude. He was love 4 down, he was almost 5-love down, he was facing break points, and he managed to get that service game somehow. He still managed to get one of those breaks back. He was behind and he was at 4-5, so Hurkacz had to serve out that match, and he did. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is, if he would have gone down 5-love, he definitely would have lost the set, I think 6-love, and it would have been a bagel. And you really have to want to win points in games if you almost come back from 4-love down or almost 5-love down in that Masters 1000 final, and that's something you would expect from a great champion. And players who do have that something special, that special gift or talent, players who can really show from early on these signs that they're going to be really great. I think Sinner is definitely showing that he's part of that group. If you look at the big three, incidentally, early Nadal is somebody who has been, maybe that's not right. I shouldn't say that. from the big three, only two have been showing really fantastic results early on. Not just Nadal, but Djokovic as well. So Djokovic was already 20 when he won his first Grand Slam. He wasn't 19, but he was already 20. Nadal was 19 when he won his first Slam. When he entered the French Open, he was 18 in 2005. On his birthday, he's beaten Federer in the semis, and he was already 19 when he's beaten Puerta in the 2005 final. And the year after, he won another, so he was at 20 years of age, already a two-time French Open champion. Djokovic has won the 2008 Australian Open, and he was turning 21 in May later that year. He's won the Australian Open in February. So it's only Federer who's been winning relatively late. He's been born in 81, won his first Wimbledon at 22 in 2003. So Federer was one of the guys, one of the greats who's been a little bit late. But when he started winning, he was unstoppable, basically. Other greats like John McEnroe, Boris Becker, Jimmy Connors, they have shown, even Björn Borg, of course. I mean, these guys have shown greatness from very early on, and I think Sinner is on his way to be part of that group. I definitely see Sinner above Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev as potential greats. Of course, today a Tsitsipas, a Medvedev and a Zverev is ahead of Sinner, but I'm not sure that still will be the case in 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised if that would turn. Another thing, another young player I've been really impressed with is Carlos Alcaraz. I've seen him play this week in the Andalusia Open in Marbella. He's reached the semi-finals. He's played a good semi-final, almost made it to the finals. He's beaten Feli Lopez and Christian Ruud along the way. I wasn't surprised he's beaten Lopez, because Lopez is 39 and he's more of a serve and volley player, even as a Spanish player, more comfortable on grass or even hard courts than clay. But I was surprised that Alcaraz has beaten not Christian Ruud, it's Casper Ruud. His father was Christian Ruud. So he's beaten Casper Ruud quite comfortably, 6-2 and 6-4. I was, in my head when I was watching Alcaraz play, I was comparing him to Nadal, because both are Spanish, both are making their mark, or Nadal has been making his mark as a teenager, and Alcaraz is on his way of doing the same thing. I was trying to compare the attitude and the game. Alcaraz is not the Nadal type of player, but he does have the competitive spirit. I'm not sure, or I should rather say I'm sure he doesn't have Nadal's patience. But he definitely has a very, very strong fighting spirit. He's somebody who can come out of very tough situations, and he's not giving up, or he's not disjaded after losing a very tough game, or maybe even a tough set. So he's somebody who does have that right mindset. And at this stage of their careers, if I'm talking about Sinner or Alcaraz is still 2 years younger than Sinner. And those 2 years at this age, that counts a lot. So it will be interesting to see how Alcaraz fares in 2 years' time. So when in 2 years we will be able to compare Alcaraz to Sinner from a performance perspective, who is basically doing more as a teenager. But I actually think there are a little bit similarities between Sinner and Alcaraz, the way they both approach the game. So both are capable of hitting great shots. Alcaraz's forehand is better than his backhand, but his backhand is good as well. Both seem to be having a little bit lack of patience. So if I start to think back of Nadal, so Nadal in his early years, even though he was already starting to make adjustments, and he did manage to win Wimbledon at the age of 22, and he won the US Open at the age of 24, and at 23 he won the Australian Open, or he was still at 22 when he won the Australian. So what I'm trying to say is that Nadal early on made the necessary changes to be already effective on grass and hard court, but his game was so very much suited for clay. So you never had the feeling that Nadal would not have the patience to play a long rally, to make his opponent move around a lot, walk them from left to right and from right to left all the time. And he was the guy who was pretty happy with defending on clay, running a lot of balls down, and he's doing that so incredibly effectively. And when you look at his strokes, Nadal's strokes, especially on the forehand but the backhand as well, he has this extra layer of security built into his forehand, so he wouldn't miss a lot. So he can cut down his unforced errors tremendously. I don't see Alcaraz doing that. So Alcaraz doesn't have the patience of a regular Spanish clay court player. He likes to go for his shots relatively early. Sometimes that pays off, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's great that he's going for his shots. What I've noticed with Alcaraz playing, he also likes to go to the net. He does it quite a lot. He does it well. He can volley. He can pick and choose his moments, when to hit a drop shot, when to go to the net, what kind of volley to hit. So he does that really well. But he still needs to fine tune and tweak a few things in his game, and maybe be a little bit more patient. Play a little bit longer rallies and hit and strike when he's more comfortable doing it. Another player I've seen recently is the Italian Lorenzo Musetti, also 19, also from Italy, just like Senna. So I think these three guys, I haven't seen Musetti that much, so I don't want to get into the way he plays. But I think these three will definitely be able to show us great things in the future. So I'm not particularly worried about the future of tennis, even though we won't have a Tsitsipas like a Djokovic or a Medvedev like a Djokovic, because they're just not going to get to that level. It's, especially for Medvedev, it's too late. He's already 25. Tsitsipas is still could do it, could make it, and maybe Zverev as well. But I don't think that they will get to those heights as Djokovic or Nadal or Federer were. But these other guys, especially Sinner and Alcaraz, they're just a different level, I think. Alright, so now after this really long parenthesis about the new youngsters and up-and-coming players, let's have a look at the Monte Carlo Masters, what kind of matches we can expect. So what's been happening here? The draw was quite interesting, because I was wondering where Nadal would fall on this draw. The number 3 seed can be in the top half, but also in the bottom half of the draw. So the number 3 seed could play either the number 1 seed in the semis or the number 2 seed in the semis. So Nadal was in the bottom half of the draw this time, and he's going to play potentially the number 2 seed. That's Medvedev this time. So we could have a Djokovic-Nadal final. Tsitsipas is the 4th seed, and he's in the top half of the draw. There is actually a big number of potential blockbusters in this first round. So we have Sinner against Ramos Vignolas in the first round. I was just talking about Sinner quite a lot, about his appearance in Miami in the final. So he definitely is in good form. He's had a good rest now because he was not active this week. He's going to play Ramos Vignolas. Ramos Vignolas, who on the other hand had a very good week this week. He's reached the semi-finals in the Marbella Open. He lost to Pablo Carreño Busta in the 3rd set. He lost the first, won the second. He was 5-4 up in the 3rd. He was serving for the match, lost it eventually. So it was very close. What I'm trying to say is Ramos Vignolas is a good clay court player. His best result in Monte Carlo is a final, which was happening 4 years ago in 2017, where he lost to Nadal. So I think he's going to be a really good test and a tough opponent for Sinner in the first round. The one who wins here is going to go through to the second round and is going to be the lucky person to play the number 1 seed in Novak Djokovic. So I think that match, especially if Sinner goes through, it's going to be also a popcorn match. Other match to watch in the round 1, which I think could be interesting, Evans playing Lajovic. So another match to watch, Hurkacz, after winning Miami, is going to play Fabiano, the Italian player who's been last week active in Cagliari in the Italian clay court 250 tournament. So somebody who already has this year a little bit of clay match practice. Hurkacz has not been active last week after Miami, so it's also going to be interesting. Lorenzo Sonego against Marton Fucsovics. So Fucsovics has had a good season so far. He's played a lot of matches. He's played a Rotterdam final. He's lost to Rublev. He's played Rublev 2 other times, so he's lost to him again. But he has some good wins lately. And Sonego himself, he's won now the Cagliari Open. The final just finished a few hours ago. So he's played a really good tournament, good final against Laszlo Djere, winning in 3 tight sets. Then Musetti against Karatsev. That's also definitely going to be a cracker. Karatsev, relatively newcomer, although he's 27. He's played the Australian Open semi-final this year, losing to Djokovic. And he's won the Dubai Open, the ATP 500 event, something like 3 weeks ago. So he's also in good form. Musetti playing the semis in Cagliari. So also some match practice already on the red dirt. FAA playing Garin. Garin, Chilean, quite typical clay court player. FAA, he doesn't like the clay, I think, that much, or he didn't up until now, but big news in the world of tennis here as well, because Tony Nadal, Rafa Nadal's uncle, is going to coach FAA apparently. And if somebody does know something about clay court tennis, and not only clay court tennis, then that's Tony Nadal. It's going to be interesting what effect Tony Nadal is going to have on FAA's game. So this is definitely a guy to look out for at this week's Monte Carlo Open. Then we have Taylor Fritz against RBA. Fritz is he has said it just after the Australian Open that he wants to have a long European clay court season. He wants to play a lot of matches on clay. He wants to get better on clay. He's done that already. He's played this week in Cagliari, reaching the semis, but not making it through to the finals. And he's going to be playing RBA. RBA knows a thing or two as a Spanish player about clay court tennis. So that's going to be interesting, because I think Fritz is in good form. Generally, he's played reasonably well on clay last week. He also needs to learn more patience, and he doesn't need to be frustrated all the time because he's getting uncomfortable bounces on clay. But I think if he's really committed, he can get used to it. So it's going to be interesting to see him play RBA. Second round, as I said, the Djokovic-Sinner, that would be definitely a blockbuster, a match to watch. Then, if we have the Sonego-Fucsovics winner is going to be playing Zverev, that's also going to be interesting because either one who wins is having a lot more, especially if Sonego wins, is a lot more practice now on clay, feeling comfortable for Zverev. After winning Acapulco on hard court in Mexico, as I said, he lost in Miami in his first match. So you cannot really say what kind of form Zverev is right now. We'll see if he plays Sonego-Fucsovics. Tsitsipas has to play Musetti or Karatsev, so this is also his first match on clay, but I think Tsitsipas is somebody who actually enjoys playing on clay quite a lot. And it will be interesting though. Either if he plays Musetti or Karatsev, it's going to be a tough one. And Casper Ruud is playing Diego Schwartzman, also a tough match, I think. So quarterfinal lineups, potential lineups, I think matches which could be interesting. Rublev playing Nadal, Djokovic potentially playing Zverev if Zverev goes through. Schwartzman potentially could play Medvedev. Those would all be quite interesting, mouth-watering matches, especially the Rublev-Nadal one, because Rublev has had a fantastic last season and he's had a fantastic season so far this year as well. With Nadal, we are not entirely sure the shape he's in right now. Since his back injury, which was plaguing him at the Australian Open, he didn't play an official match. So it will be interesting to see if he can make it to the quarters and if he's going to play Rublev. I think he matches up against Rublev well, but nonetheless, Rublev is in terrific form, and it's going to be definitely a big test for Nadal. I've put Medvedev here potentially reaching the quarters, although Medvedev is not a clay court specialist, but Medvedev seems to be feeling quite well when he plays in Monte Carlo. He's beaten Djokovic once in the quarters, I think, of the third round of the quarterfinals in Monte Carlo, something like 2 years ago. So I think he has a chance to go deeper, and I think he's a little bit hungry after his defeat in the quarterfinals in Miami. So potential semi-final lineups, if the top seeds would go through, that would be Djokovic against Tsitsipas, Nadal against Medvedev. So this is not something I'm predicting, I'm just saying if we go according to the seeds, these are the matches to watch. Alright. So it's been good to be back doing this video again. I'm going to cover the latter stages of the Monte Carlo Open, of the Monte Carlo Masters 1000. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really interested to see and hear about your opinions. What do you think about Sinner? What do you think about Alcaraz, about Musetti? Do you see any other newcomer or youngster who could really make it? Do you agree with my assessment about Alcaraz, Sinner? Please comment below and let me know. In case any other questions come up, I'm always happy to answer. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already. Smash the like button and see you in the next video. Bye.